First, with this recipe, you need some nice green bananas. You can get them at the H Mart, Asian market, African market, or any kind of international market. They're green and they stay green. They don't ripe up. Different from bananas or plantains. They just stay green. So you rinse them, you chop them up, you slice them, and you begin to peel them. The process can get a little sticky because this particular vegetable can get sticky. So sometimes I put some olive oil on my hands, but I didn't do it this time. But be aware that it can get sticky and it'll leave some stains on your hands. So you just peel them up and then make them into big chunks. The next ingredient of this recipe is carrots. So I take baby carrots, small organic baby carrots. They're ready to use. They're easy. I don't need to skin them. They're ready to go. I just chop them up into chunks, rinse them, and use them. So here I just do little chunks. Make sure they're bite-sized for my kids. And they're usually pretty sweet and soft. So these sizes are great for the recipe. So I just continue the process and do that. Next, you're gonna need some onions. So I chop up a big chunk of onion. One is gonna be enough in a pot. It's gonna serve about 5 people. It's just me, my husband, and 3 boys. So that should be enough. I chop up this onion into little chunks, nice and simple. And that's going to be added together with leeks. I'm going to use these regular onions and onion leeks, which is on the left there in the strainer, as you can see. I'll show you in a minute. So here are my ingredients, main ingredients. I have onions, carrot, bananas, and leeks. These are my leeks. They make it smell good and delicious. Got the bananas right there, the baby carrots, and onions. Now we boil the carrots on the side by themselves in water, just simple water. Then you get the pot ready for the stew that's going to go in everything. You cook the stew on the side. So I put some olive oil in the pot. It's going to be tomatoes, onions, and all that good seasoning. I'll put about 4 or 5 tablespoons. So about a half a cup, I would say, actually. Half a cup of oil. Now, while the oil is warming up, I take the bananas into their own pots because they're going to boil. I don't boil them together with carrots because they boil at different times. So I'm going to boil them separately. Just put them down there for about 10 minutes. They're going to need to boil in water. Simple water and a little bit of salt. Now I come back to my oil. It's ready. So I bring the leeks, throw them in there. It's a bunch. It's a whole leek. So I use all of it. It makes the recipe smell very good and delicious, and it's very healthy. Here I give it a little stir. Make sure the oil, it's all nicely mixed up in there. Now while that's frying, I check on my bananas and I put a little bit of seasoned salt at this point. because I want it to soak it in it when it's boiling, the salt to be in the bananas. So just a little bit of seasoned salt. That's my carrots. My son is helping me, throwing in there more carrots. So I cook pretty fast. I'm checking on all 3 pots as I go. So I'm moving pretty quick. When I'm cooking, I don't want to be in the kitchen for more than an hour. So I stir the onion up and I check on the carrots and I add the onions. Put those onions in there because they cook fast. So I do them halfway. Add a little bit more. At this point, you bring your tomatoes. I used diced tomatoes, just simple diced tomatoes. Any kind is good. I'll use that, and later on, I'll also use tomato sauce. So I mix that up in there, get it to fry a little bit for a few minutes until the chunks get soft. I want my tomatoes to be nice and soft, very soft. You can mix a little bit of mixed herbs in this recipe. Italian usually have a bunch of different kinds of them all together, oregano, and the other types of dry seasoning. So I dab a little bit in there. You could do a little dab of thyme or parsley flakes or even celery, things like that. Now we move to the green bananas. They're boiling. They have maybe a minute or 2 left before they get nice and soft. We check on the carrots. They've been boiling as well. So everything is cooking at the same time. Continue stirring the tomatoes, the onions, the seasoning. This stew right here is going to go and become a good mix for everything. It's going to put everything together. Now at this point, I'll put the tomato sauce. Okay, this is the sauce. It's not chunky, it's just the tomato sauce. It brings the color and a little bit of more of the stew that I need to make it more thick and to make it more stewy like. So you want to add a little bit of tomato sauce. Now you can check on the carrots and make sure they're nice and soft. You need your carrots to be really soft. You don't want them too chunky and too crunchy. For this recipe, they need to be soft. Now let's check on the bananas. The bananas also need to be super soft. You don't want them crunchy at all. They gotta be like melt in your mouth type. So you gotta make them nice and soft. You don't want them to be all soggy, but they need to be super soft. Okay? So we make sure they're soft. We'll give it about 2 more minutes. And we continue to pay attention on the stew. It needs to be nicely cooked, all the flavors together. That's why I keep coming back to the stew, making sure it's nicely cooked. Now we've mixed the carrots and the banana, the green bananas, because they've already cooked. Both of them are soft. Matter of fact, you go ahead and throw all that juice in there because you're not gonna want to put water. You want to keep it nice by using the water from the carrots because it's not that much. So we're just gonna use that instead of water. Now you see here the stew has come together. It's nice and thick. The tomatoes are all nicely blended with the onions. It's time to mix everything now. Nice and simple. You bring your stew and you mix it with your carrots and green bananas. And you let it boil because all that seasoning, all that onions tomato seasoning is gonna soak together. And there you have it. A nice mix of green bananas, also known as gitoke, aka ifutari. So I hope that recipe was simple, but it's a delicious meal, especially in the winter time where you just want something warm, soft, like a stew/soup type. This is a good recipe for the winter time. But in Burundi, we eat that anytime. So I hope you enjoy this, because I'm really going to enjoy this. Put that in a bowl and add some hot pepper, hot sauce, and dig in.